Καλώς ήρθατε στο GuitarSpot.Gr, όπου σήμερα βρισκόμαστε στο Electricity Sound Studios, δίπλα από το Guitar Institute Greece, στην Αθήνα, μαζί με έναν εκλεκτό καλεσμένο, τον Guillaume Pille.
Hi.
Welcome to Greece.
Thank you very much.
Ο οποίος βρίσκεται εδώ σε ένα σεμινάριο οργανωμένο από τα Music Accessories, στο οποίο σεμινάριο ένας πάρα πολύ τυχερός θα κερδίσει το καινούριο c.a.b από την Two Notes, της οποίας και ο Guillaume είναι ιδρυτής, εμπνευστής και CEO, και θα μας μιλήσει στο σεμινάριο για τα προϊόντα της εταιρείας, τα οποία έχουν κερδίσει ακόμα και τους πιο απαιτητικούς μουσικούς σε όλο τον κόσμο. Guillaume, this is your first time in Greece.
Yes, it is.
And you came at the right moment in Easter.
Yeah, I specifically asked that we have no rain or not of that thing, and it was perfect.
You avoided it, just slightly avoided the rain.
Yeah, everything is about timing.
Yes, it is. And I'm sure that have you ever seen more lamb in your life?
Well, it was pretty intense.
It was.
But it was good.
Especially if you're a lamb, then it's the worst time.
Yeah.
Yes. So many things I want to ask you. I'm going to start by saying that Two Notes, the products of the company have been dominating the music scene. They are seen in rigs from well-respected musicians to YouTubers with thousands of followers. Everybody is using your products. And what do you think the X factor is in the company that makes it the choice for everyone?
Well, first of all, we were the first to design that kind of product. And I actually designed them for me at first. That's often the case. Like I had a problem, I needed to find a solution. And I started pretty much at the same time as many of those YouTubers, for example, or influencers. And most of them were bedroom guitarists, right? They were just recording at home in a tiny room, pretty much the same I was doing at the same time. And it happened that they needed a solution to record properly with a good tone. And, well, naturally, they asked me to help them with their sound, and that's how it started, with those guys. And I designed the product mainly for the studio market, but I realized also that there was a lot of demand for the live industry as well. So, yeah, probably that was just the right time to offer that kind of solution.
So when you started designing the products, you didn't know that in the future you would have a whole line of torpedoes that would have saved so many people from eviction.
Yeah, well, and some merge too.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, the torpedo was not my main project, and it became bigger and bigger. So well, it's now the main project. No, I didn't think about that. I just wanted to put out some good studio products, good quality products, and I didn't think that we would have so many in the line. It's just that, well, knowing better the difficulties of some guitarist or bassist on stage or at home, I tried to find, well, more specific product to solve specific issues. But yeah, 10 years ago, I had no idea.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you is, I want your take on this. When the digital means came around, they were actually meant to improve on the weaknesses of the analog means and solve some issues. But not too late after they appeared in the scene, they started mimicking the analog behavior actually. And from your point of view, and how do you approach this in Two Notes? Are you also trying to mimic the analog with the digital way, or do you think that digital is something that can stand on its own and be something different?
Well, that's a big question. Well, first of all, I think that's quite new that you have good digital product for guitar and bass, because 20 years ago, digital was mainly used to design cheap products. Let's say you had the tube stuff, you had then some solid state stuff, which was usually less good. And then the digital was even like worse than the analog solid state. I guess that with the progress of the digital solution and having better CPUs, more memory, and a whole lot of people actually working on very nice algorithm, well, all the digital stuff, I mean, the quality raised, and up to the point where today, well, I think the quality of digital is on par with what you can have with analog. To answer directly your question about using digital to mimic analog, I get that you need to think about the history of amplifying music, for example, and all the best album of all time, let's say it like that, were recording using analog products, analog recorders, analog amplifiers, obviously, and with real cabinets and microphones. So I guess that most guitarists actually are not really into too much progress. They tend to try to mimic the sound from the past. If you look at what sells, even in terms of tube amps, a lot of them are vintage stuff. If you look at the sales of vintage guitars, it's a trend, and it's a strong trend. So the digital just provide a solution for people who want to be vintage but don't have the money to own the real stuff. And there is also what's happening in digital with whatever TV or computers or phones. It's the same. It's about having more stuff in a small box. And now that it sounds good, well, I always hope that people will try to create new sound with digital products. But that's not what the customer is asking. The customer is asking usually that, I love that amp on that recording, or that cabinet that we use for the AC/DC recording on 73, I don't know. And they just want that. They don't want, most of the time, they don't want to create something new. It's like that. And even in the synthesizer world, you'd have plenty of digital modeling also, and you could create new sound with digital. But if you look at the synthesizer business right now, it's a lot about doing analog stuff with digital solutions. So I'd say it's a global trend. Maybe in the future, what we need is, let's say, one new Kurt Cobain or that kind of band that would come with a new type of sound that would be created digitally, and everybody would say, I want that sound now. But I don't see it right now, but it would happen.
Probably. I'm sure you will come up with something for that as well.
Yeah, we try to.
Actually, what you're doing is very important, because you are providing the musician with the means to make his music with the best quality possible, and in an affordable price, and they don't have to compromise in sound quality, and to be able to use your very loud amp and still keep this good quality of the sound, great quality of the sound, because before Two Notes came about, it was always a compromise. And this is what has put you guys in the scene, in my opinion. And thank you for doing that. What I would like to ask is about this new little guy. We have seen the c.a.b, Torpedo c.a.b, and we love the Torpedo c.a.b. What's different about this, in just a few words?
Yeah, well, first of all, the size of it. Many people complained about the fact that the original c.a.b was too big. And you can see that it's funny, because people now buy a lot of pedals and they end up with a huge pedal board. So what can you do? Well, they try to find smaller version of the pedal so they can fit in a tiny luggage, for example.
This is something you can certainly just throw in your gig bag in.
Yeah, exactly. You could have that with the guitar in the gig bag. So I had to find a solution for that. The other idea behind c.a.b was I worked hard to design something that would be less expensive than the original c.a.b. So it was not about destroying the quality. It was more about making the right choices in terms of input outputs, in terms of the digital architecture of the product, to keep what was vital, remove what wasn't, and come up with a great price. It's still not cheap, but it's way less expensive than the original c.a.b was. Also, I believe we had a few design flows in the original c.a.b. Like, people asked for XLR out, and we didn't have one. It's here. People wanted to have some kind of Bluetooth control on the unit so they can use their iPad or phone just to change the parameters. I wouldn't use that personally, but many people love doing that. Like, they have their iPad on a stand and just control the whole pedal board from there. So that's something we worked on. So it's about tiny improvement and tiny changes. And also, we rewrote entirely the code of the original c.a.b to allow for more functions. And because there is a bigger DSP in that unit, we can also play longer IRs, which means usually a better audio quality. So yeah, it's about not compromising too much the audio quality and providing a little bit more for a little bit less money. So it was a challenge. It was interesting.
Amazing. I believe that you have succeeded, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The other thing that I've been meaning to ask you is that we have seen specifically the Torpedo line. You have done the Torpedo Live for more of a concentrating on live performances. You have done the Torpedo Studio, you've done the Torpedo Capture, and you have done the Torpedo C.a.b, and now the Torpedo C.a.b-M. All the products in the line is focused on different things. They are not too cheap but affordable and providing an amazing result. Should we expect to see something like a hyper or super torpedo which would collect all
everything?
Yes.
Well, funnily, that's sometimes we get that question, and sometimes people ask for that. Right now, that's not what I'm working on, but it will happen eventually. What we focus right now is to find solution that people can actually buy. So not cheap stuff, but definitely more affordable products. So we will come up with something that's close to that, but not the full deal. The Torpedo Studio will stay the head of the line for a couple of years more, and we will have to design something that does it all. But it's not the next step that will come.
And I believe that it's not that simple either. So you will need to go to our research and development to gather all the characteristics in one product.
Well, I mean, it's not that complicated, but it's really about where the market is. And if I design something that has everything in it, it would be expensive. And you know, when you work in that business, and I believe it's the same in when you design product, people ask for 10 million functions. And the day you provide that product that does 10 million functions, people tell you, oh no, I don't need this or that or this, or I don't want to pay for that function. So it's a bit of, it's always hard to figure out exactly what people need or want. And putting everything in the box is not always the best solution, but still, we will have to renew the Torpedo Studio one day. So when that day happens, yeah, and I have a few ideas of new original functions I want to do, but wait just a bit more.
We'll try to be patient. And you're a company that is always listening to their customers, and you are always trying to improve on the opinions of the people that are actually using your products. How important do you think that this is for a company to succeed in the business?
Oh, to succeed? Well, I don't know. Am I succeeding? I don't know. But
you're here.
Well, I'm here. Yeah, of course. That's the beginning of it. Well, first of all, we have many ways today to interact with users, and that's amazing. And if a company doesn't use that, social media or forums or any kind of interaction with customer, if a company doesn't do that today, they don't understand how the business works. And I actually love talking to customers or users or possible future users about what they want to do with the product. And that's how actually I'm able to help evolving the product. So we have all the professional artists who will give us some feedback, but also just the guy playing in his bedroom, because I was that guy. Actually, I'm still is that guy. I am that guy. So listening to them is very important, and that's the only way to actually hopefully find the right product for that market. And I believe that honestly, since the beginning, I created the first product with the help of some internet forums, just asking genuine questions to people, saying, okay, do you think that's important or this? Not telling too much about what I was doing, but just asking genuine questions. And people love to tell you, okay, I want to do this or that. And sometimes it's weird or useless or too exotic. And sometimes, oh, I didn't think about that. You can't think of everything.
Of course. And it's very important that you yourself are a musician, and this is why you started to make these products, to solve your own problems. And amazing. To be a company that is so successful and to be based in Europe, it's something that is not so common nowadays. Most of the companies that are the most powerful, if I could say it this way, companies in the field are based either in the US or in Japan or China. Do you think that this is a burden on your shoulders and you have to lift?
That's a good question. I think that, well, when you are in the US or in China, meaning when you have a large market that you can address simply because, well, you speak the same language, which we don't really have in Europe.
Yes.
Well, we have English, so you and I can talk in English, but that's not your native tongue. That's not mine. So we lose a little bit of complexity, in the way we have to talk to each other. And obviously, companies in the US don't have that problem. So they have that big domestic market. Definitely it's easier to make things, I think it's easier to make things happen thanks to that, because you have Canada, USA, and boom, you already have like 40 or nearly 50% of the world market for audio. So we don't have that, but I mean, I don't see, I couldn't tell if I was there, it would be better or worse. What's for sure is that the fact that we build some of the product, this one is not built in France, but we still have the big racks, Studio Live and Reload, we make them in France. Definitely nobody cares. So it's definitely not an asset. I hope it's not a problem for most customer, but I believe that if we had a made in USA or made in UK or made in Germany sometimes, people would respect the brand more just because, well, there is a history of amazing German microphones or amazing British or American amplifiers or guitars. There is not so much an history about amazing French guitars or French audio product. And even if we are still a very tiny company, we are probably one of the biggest exporters of guitar product in the world from France, which tells you a lot about the state of that business. So I don't know, I just do it. And I tried, like now we have a US operation as well to distribute the product. So I try to expand in those markets. I don't know, I would have to redo it again in the US to see that. But I think it's a little bit harder to do that from France or probably from Greece or from some market where there is no history of legendary audio product. But yeah, we do it anyway.
Thankfully, the internet has not only made it easier for the manufacturer to be in direct contact and in touch with the customer, but it has also made it easier for people from Europe, for example, to display their products and to have their products be heard all around the globe. So people like you from France or even from us from Greece, we have manufacturers that are actually doing very well, and this is a very important thing.
Yep.
In Greece, your exclusive dealer is Music Accessories, Anastasis. How are you guys meet?
Actually, we met recently at the NAMM show this year, but we were in contact for, you need to help me, that guy is here. Probably a couple years now?
Yes, 2
yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, and everybody is very happy that finally your products are available to be tested in Greece, because and one thing to watch reviews of a product, and it's another thing to be able to actually test it yourself.
Absolutely, see it in person, and I'm very thankful to Anastasis and his team to take on the Tunas product. That's why I'm here, to support his business.
Yes. And finally, as a manufacturer, as a developer of sound products, amazing sound products, and as the CEO of Two Notes, how do you see the future of amplification in general?
Well, when I designed those products, I wanted to create a bridge between the analog tube amp that everybody loves and the digital domain. So those were kind of hybrid solutions. I think modeling is getting better and better every day, and very soon you'll see some dirt cheap digital product that will sound really, really well. And actually, they already sound quite well. I'm not too optimistic about the future of tube amps. I love them. I think that we will see a turn in the next 5 years, probably 5 to 10 maximum, where possibly the tube amp, actually it's already happening, the tube amp gets smaller, so people can actually carry them around. We don't need that much power because, well, the PA stuff is very good right now too. So even if you go to a tiny bar, they will usually have a proper PA system. So you could have just a tiny amp and just amplify it through the PA. That's what my products are for. And I think the time of huge amps and walls of cabinets, I mean, even today, when you see a wall of cabinet on stage, 99% of the time, those could be real cabinets, but they are just not plugged. They are just for the show.
They're not.
I believe the younger generation, so people who are 20 years old right now, possibly they are not as passionate about tube amp just because their guitar heroes today are not really using tube amps anymore. So I think, within the next 5 to 10 years, we will see digital product that will get better and better, and tube amp that will become more of a niche. I hope it will not become as small as, let's say, tube hi-fi, but I'm not too optimistic. I think that for most amp manufacturers, they must, like if they don't already, they must start going into digital like right now, and work on some solutions so they stay relevant in the future. I may sound maybe a little bit pretentious about that, but I think it's already happening.
It is. The tube amp is putting up a pretty good fight, but what you said about the younger generation having their heroes not playing through millions of cabinets is true, and it will have an impact in the future for sure. Yeah,
you and I have like some kind of a sentimental bond with those products that the people who are 15 right now, they don't.
Exactly.
And they probably won't care. So, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I just hope I'm wrong so I can keep selling those. but I think, we will see a change.
Guillaume, thank you very much for taking the time for this interview. It's great to have you here in Greece.
Thank you for having me.
Wait for the presentation to hear it from the man himself. And hopefully we'll have you back here soon.
I hope.
And I hope everything goes well for you and Two Notes. We'll be here enjoying your products.
Thank you so much.
Μπορείτε να δοκιμάσετε όλα τα προϊόντα της Two Notes στην Αθήνα στο Music Accessories. Για περισσότερες συνεντεύξεις, παρουσιάσεις μουσικού εξοπλισμού και online μαθήματα, επισκεφτείτε το GuitarSpot.Gr.